Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a vintage collection figure, the Star Killer Vader's Apprentice.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Let's do a quick comparison of the packaging before we get these guys open. And if you know me, you know what I'm about to say. And that is that I love this packaging. I love the Star Wars racetrack. There's something about this packaging that's just so nostalgic to me. It just brings all kinds of good feelings to me. I love it. Now, I've always collected Star Wars, even when they've switched packaging, hence why I have this one. Now, I've said this before, I do keep Star Wars cards, I do keep Star Wars figures mint on card. So this is a double that I've had for many, many years, and I just never opened it. I do like this packaging. It's not bad. It's one of the better ones, actually, that they've done as they've switched around before and after the vintage collection. But comparing these two, it's not even a comparison. This is just so much better with the artwork. Even if it is CGI'd, it's still really nice. The red name pill, the red behind the figure, it just pops. It looks great. I really enjoy and like the expanded universe here. I wish they used it more and did more expanded universe figures. There's nothing wrong with this packaging though. It does have a little image here. The black with the blue writing actually looks pretty good, but there's just no comparison here. And the oddity of the shape, these were always really hard to keep mint on card because there's just so many edges, so many places where it could bang and hit. And you can see here too, they even started putting tape on them at the end because this was right around that time when they were popping off of the card back because they didn't use good glue. And the line before this too, the other black series with the orange stripe down it, those are notorious for falling off. But we'll get these both open. Here's the back of this card. It does have a nice little blurb here, which I do like, which I wish these did. But this does show you like the rest of the wave, which I really like, and this doesn't. But here's a graphic here. He's standing over a looks like a droid, some kind of a droid. He's got his lightsaber lit. Is a different image than this here, but I do still prefer this. I do like seeing the rest of the waves. Here he is actually geared up. But yeah, there's something about this, even this cardstock, you know, they finally got to this nice, good, hard cardstock. And this one's not bad, but it's not as sturdy as that one. So that's the packaging, guys. I'm assuming that most of you will agree with me that that is the superior packaging. But this is one of the better ones that they've had as compared to some of, you know, the one before this and some of the others that they've had. All right, but that's the packaging, guys. Let's get them open. Okay, and here are both figures out of packaging. In case you're wondering, I am going to give one of these to my son. I'm going to let him pick which one he wants. On the right here is the Black Series version. On the left here is the Vintage Collection figure, and they are pretty darn close. There's some very slight differences. I think that's coming through on the camera. You can see the Vintage Collection does have a little more weathering on here than on this one. Not much. I mean, they're both the buckles, the metals are done just in a little bit different shade. The faces, which, you know, I have to admit, I don't see much difference here. I really don't. It just ever so slightly. One thing I did notice though, you know, on both figures is how the neck sort of, the back sort of rounds up and his head sort of sits forward. But I can tell, you know, I've only had him out for a few minutes. they are dated. You know, it's a great character, it's a great figure, great accessories. But without those ball jointed hips, you know, and opening some of the modern figures, this one really does need, rather than a repaint, it really needed a redo, at least from the waist down. I did notice here, you can see, let me turn my light a little bit. You can see on his waist piece here, this one's black all the way through. This one has a white edge all the way around. Not a big deal. The packs do come off. Probably the biggest thing, the first thing I noticed was the lightsabers. The Black Series version, they're almost a purple, translucent, bluish purple. Where these, the new vintage collection, there's no mistaking those are blue. Same hilts. Both have really good chromy, shiny paint jobs on them. Unlit hilts, almost exactly the same. Just that variation here in the cloth piece. Definitely the vintage collection one's much more weathered, but the face, you know, I don't see it. I just don't see it, guys. It's so slight. I don't know. I don't see it. The hair color's different. This is more brown. This is a more blackish. Looks like mine has a little imperfection there on his scalp. Oops. If you can see that there. It's got like a small plastic sort of rub there. Overall, it's a great looking figure, and all these accessories, of course, you can use on someone else. You can fit him up either way in this sort of Jedi with the armor. I guess this is sort of the flight suit. Let's get him out of that. Let's put him in this. See how he looks. It is a nice pliable rubber plastic. These did feel like they were kind of slipping off. Take out that back piece. Throw on the armor. Gotta pop his head off. Throw the armor on. I mean, besides the hips, this is a pretty good figure. I mean, when he came out, I would say, you know, this was probably one of the best figures, you know, in the Black Series at that time, because of the accessories, because of who the character is. But now without those hips, you know, it just feels very dated. There we go. That looks better. It does just feel dated. I think I would, though, you know, this Black Series one, I think is still fairly expensive. And if you were lucky enough, you can find this vintage collection on the shelf right now, I would go with this new one. You get the blue sabers. The paint job is a little bit better to weathering on the garments, the clothes. I don't see much in the head sculpt. I guess this guy has more pointed eyebrows in the back, and this guy, you know, has more natural. The new one has more natural eyebrows. But overall, it's a pretty good figure. It's just dated, you know. What hips would do to this, new hips would do to this figure, would take it over the top almost. Not even the ankles so much. Because this, at this time when this figure was made, this was super articulated for a Star Wars figure. Very few figures came with the ball jointed hips at that time, where now almost every single one does. Whether they need them, the character calls for it or not. This is definitely a character that would call for that. And if he had those, this would, you know, by far and away put rocker ankles and ball jointed hips on this, and this might be one of the best vintage collection figures, you know, out there ever made. Especially with all the accessories. The character, who he is very popular, you know, in the expanded universe. You know, even as I'm making this video, there's rumors going around that he could be in Ahsoka as that Inquisitor, or just no one knows yet. Of course, at the time of me making this video, by the time you see this, it might already be revealed whether he's in it or not. But it's a very good figure. I do like him. I think he is going to photograph really well. The paint jobs, the sculpt, it's all really good. All these accessories, the fact that you can do them either way. In fact, let's do that. Let's see. Let's keep this on him. Well, we kind of have them both ways here, right? It's got the Jedi version, and we've got the other person. I don't know if should the armor go on the bad side and just this on the good. I don't know. I guess you could do this any way you wanted. This is quite, very Imperial type backpack. It's nice that it comes off. I know they've changed the peg now on most of the figures, so this is probably one of the only ones that would fit on. You can't put a Mandalorian jetpack on him, but it's a good figure, guys. I think if you could find this one, definitely grab it. I'm sure some customizers could figure out how to get the lower body off of this guy and put on a newer one. And I'd be interested to do that since I do have two here, but as I mentioned, I'm probably going to offer one of these to my son. I'm not sure if he'll even want it. But if he does, or he does not, then there's that possibility I may try to customize one of these guys. But overall, very good figure of his time, but still quite good. And with all these accessories, if you are a customizer, if you want fodder, if you need extra pieces, this is the guy to get. It's almost two figures in one. So I do like him. All right, guys, so that's my overview. I'm going to take some photos, and I'll see you next time.